An Ohio town suffers from toxic gas years after nuclear plant's closure. Hmm. An Ohio town is facing increased cancer rates after decades of exposure to radioactive gas from a war era nuclear plant. Same time, Trump cut funding for research and help for those exposed and instead is pushing increased nuclear energy. They don't really care about you. And who's going to pay to get you well if it's even an option when you have cancer, right? Caused by this. Let's take you to Piketon, Ohio, Portsmouth Gaseous Diffusion Plant. There it is. It's a huge facility. It's located in the foothills of Appalachian, Ohio, and was opened in 1954. Do you know how little regulation was back then? The purpose, enrich weapons grade uranium for the military as America's Cold War with the Soviet Union ramped up. Decades after the plant was opened, later closed in 2001, the people of Piketon are rather paying the price. They're probably praying too. 3 years after starting work as an electrician at the Portsmouth Gaseous Diffusion Plant, Vina Colley started getting sick. Colley, who advocates as president of Portsmouth Piketon Residents for Environmental Safety and Security, says she was exposed to uranium hexafluoride and a host of other dangerous chemicals while working at the facility in the early 1980s. The Guardian with the reporting here. We're working in confined spaces. We didn't have any respiratory protection. Radiation was everywhere in these process buildings. Now Vina Colley's body is breaking down. She had a total hysterectomy, found 3 tumors, suffers from congestive heart failure, peripheral neuropathy, beryllium disease. Her legs sometimes shake uncontrollably. 2018, her husband, who did not work at the plant, died of melanoma. Around the same time, her brother-in-law, who did work there, died of lymphoid cancer, as did his wife, who Colley recounts washed his contaminated clothes every day. Colley has lost one brother to small cell lung cancer several months ago. Another brother died from pancreatic cancer. Cancer is a big deal in our society, but you're not going to tell me that all that cancer in one family doesn't have a root cause. There was some help for those who were exposed. For decades, the federal government attempted to compensate workers who had suffered health ailments associated with working at nuclear facilities. And folks, they didn't know. It's not like they were warned. They were just working. But in January, the Trump administration's overhaul of the Department of Health and Human Services resulted in the indefinite suspension of review boards that oversee medical aid distribution to more than 700,000 Cold War era government employees who worked at 380 civilian and military nuclear programs around the country. All the while, Trump has called for a renewed push to increase nuclear enrichment activity for energy and national security reasons. Reports have emerged that 10 tons of uranium were released from a now closed uranium enrichment facility almost nightly into the air between 1955 to 1993. Activity known by people who worked there at the time as midnight rockets, killing them, setting up decades of death. Consequences have been devastating for families in Pike County. Just look at this. Cancer mortality rate in Pike County for the years 2018 to 2022 was 44% above the national rate, well exceeded the state level too. 70.6 years, Pike County's life expectancy at birth is nearly 8 years below the national rate. We're not talking about quality of life here either, just straight up life expectancy. New cancer cases. Just look at it. Tells you everything you need to know. Top 5 cancers by percentage of new cancer cases. Lung, bronchus, breast, prostate, colon, rectum, melanoma, the skin. You notice how these plants, even all those years ago, Senator, and correct me if I'm wrong, they're not in Beverly Hills, they're not in certain neighborhoods, Appalachian. And it's the same thing now with these chip plants, right? Put them in certain places, eating up resources and really wreaking havoc on water supply, everything. So go ahead, Senator, if you can, if you will, break this one down for us.
I mean, this city and the counties, southern part of Ohio, and it is always poorer people, as you're laying out, who bear the brunt of this kind of impact. Again, the president just had a press conference about Tylenol causing autism, but yet have reversed the rules and regulations that were in play to protect communities for this kind of thing. And certainly the United States could have done and could do, previous administrations should have done more. There's always more you can do. But air and water and food do not have boundaries. And water do not have boundaries. So if it's happening to them in Pike County, it's only a matter of time before it gets to the rest of us. It doesn't. So sure, I'm just baffled. They would roll back the rules. There are no rules for corporations. It's all about the greed. It is about cronyism and just pure greed. While they would allow a facility like this to poison people, and for some of the luxuries that we have today, we owe generations of people who suffered through their bodies for us to be able to have these luxuries. I mean, I just saw a special on News Nation where they went back to talk to some of the people in East Palestine, Ohio, sharing where
Yeah.
the train derailed. They still haven't been made whole. And the vice president is from Ohio. The vice president was a senator from a U.S. senator from Ohio before he became the vice president. He wrote the book, The Hillbilly Effigy, which he is so far from what he wrote in that book. Hopefully,
Mm.
he'll gain his mind on that. But again, poorer communities bear the brunt of these kinds of reversals of the rules. Where are the watchdogs and where are the penalties
Yep.
for changing people's entire lives? They'll never be the same.
Generations.
Got the nerve not to have universal health care.
Yep. They don't care about you. I would say to the vice president, remember that thing about never forget where you came from and not just to get rich off of it or co-op. Well, use your story to launch you to a different stratosphere. And then who cares about was is he even well, the brother was at some of the I was told some of the inauguration events, but my my friend said it was like JD Vance didn't want anything to do with his brother. Wouldn't and hey, listen, siblings fall out sometimes. I don't know. But it is sad. They don't give a damn.